American Military University proudly presents Mission San Diego Military, produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council and Cloudcast Media. San Diego is America's finest military city. From the Marines and Navy to the Coast Guard and Naval Special Warfare, San Diego is a proud military town. Mission San Diego Military will help you better understand how the San Diego military leads, innovates, and cares for community and country. Mission San Diego Military, co-hosted by the CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council, retired Rear Admiral David Boone, and Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, begins right now.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media and co-host of Mission San Diego Military, a podcast series generously sponsored by American Military University, educating our military and their families since 1993. We are doing a special edition of our show here at the SDMAC Achievement Awards 18th annual event. It also serves as the fundraiser for the SDMAC Foundation. We're here at MCRD's Bayview Club. We are honored to have in the studio with us today Admiral Richard Jarrett. He is the Navy Region Southwest CO, better known as the Navy Mayor. How many states you oversee?
Well, so it's California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico.
Beautiful. When did you get into the position?
It's been about 2 months.
So you're a veteran in this position. No, listen, it's so important. We've been very honored, and you know some of the ones that we've chatted with before. Yancey Lindsay is one of my favorite people in the whole world, and Yancey, of course, went over to Italy and then wound up, I think, a 3-star back in D.C. Dixon Smith was in the position. You know all these guys. And talk about your role.
Yeah, so we manage the 10 installations in the southwest region of the United States. And so we have a lot of things in the Navy that float, that fly, that deploy, and we cover all the things that are fixed to the shore that support all those things that float and fly and deploy, including the sailors. So physical infrastructure, piers, airfields, utilities, housing. We do taking care of sailors and families through child care, our Fleet and Family Service program. We do counseling, galleys, for feeding. So you name it, we've probably got it in our portfolio.
No, you do have it in your portfolio. One of the things I've been so impressed when I've talked to your past colleagues about it is you folks are absolutely laser beamed on how you look at the environment, and you want to make sure that you're being great stewards of the environment and what you do. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting aspect of the work that we do, because we are at the interface of the shore and the sea, and that's a complex but also a delicate environment. And so whether it is how we maintain ships at the pier or how we conduct operations out in the near sea location here in the littorals, those all have influence on the environment, and there's things that we do that we're very compatible with that. And so up at Seal Beach just a few weeks ago, we were tagging turtles up at the Wildlife Sanctuary, which is totally compatible with the mission to load ordnance on ships at the nearby pier.
Right.
And then we also have some great work that we're doing out on San Clemente Island in preserving endangered species out there. And I think we're like in the top 10 list of endangered species that have either been reduced from the list or come off the list as a result of our efforts in places like that.
Well, you guys have always been on top of your game on this thing, and I know, chatting with the folks that, again, where you're in your position before, that absolutely you're very proud of what you folks do, with the environment, and continue to do that. You're also very laser beamed on, energy, and making sure that, that's is a challenge, as I'm sure it is as well. Now, does your family have a military family?
No, I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, so I call that the brown water Navy because it was coal barges going up and down the river in my backyard every day. I had grandparents that served in World War II.
Okay.
Then we skipped a generation. Then I became interested, and lo and behold, some 30 years later, here I am still doing it.
That's great. Family out here, a spouse and kids and so forth?
Yeah, so I've got my spouse and my 2 wiener dogs.
Okay.
So that's our small family as it exists. And we're living over in North Island and just really enjoying the San Diego weather, the environment, the neighbors, the camaraderie. Everything about this great Navy town.
It's hard to beat Coronado. Talk about SDMAC. I know you're in the position for 2 months, but I know a lot of you folks, no matter where you're coming from, are very familiar with it, what SDMAC has done. And I know there are other parts of the country that'd love to have an SDMAC. How critical is it to support what you're doing?
Yeah, so there are a lot of military support organizations throughout the country at different regions. SDMAC stands out as being, the cream of the crop. And in terms of their ability to put together a coalition of supporters and partners in the community, but also really to deliver results that are very compatible with the Navy's mission and the things that we love to partner with them for. And before I came out here, I was very familiar. So some of the names you mentioned, Yancey Lindsay, Admiral Dixon Smith,
right.
They have spoken highly of SDMAC for years. When I was back in D.C. at the headquarters, there would be an annual roadshow. SDMAC would come through, and so the reputation is well known even before I set foot in San Diego.
Yeah, one of I have a lot of favorites that when you're in position. I could, Ronnie Froman and so forth, but Bill French. I'm not sure if you know Admiral French.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, now he's the CEO of the National YMCA, Armed Services YMCA. But Bill was in your position here before he went over to D.C. And every one of you folks, I'm so impressed. You're so humble. It's ridiculous. You guys are ridiculously humble, but that's in your DNA and all that business. You give all the credit to the frontline troops and all that. That's just what it is. Talk about that. Talk about the fleet itself, how important that is.
Well, that's the only reason we're here.
Right.
Is to support those ships and sailors that are going 8,000 miles away. And I recently had the opportunity to speak at SDMAC event, and I talked about all those sailors on USS Carl Vinson that at the time were currently deployed 8,000 miles away in a very challenging environment in the Fifth Fleet right now. And then we just brought them all home last week, and so the range of support that we're able to provide and focus on, both from delivering the shore infrastructure that creates readiness for those ships and those aircraft, those airfields, those ports, those training ranges, vitally important. But then also, while they are out, 8,000 miles away, the support that we're able to provide to families and loved ones and those connections back home. And then when they come back home, have the party on the pier. It's all encompassing, but that's the focus of our mission, and that's just a microcosm. That one deployment of that one ship, that one strike group, I think represents the vital focus of our mission overall.
Without question, we are chatting with Admiral Richard Jarrett. He is the commanding officer for Navy Region Southwest. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to a special edition of Mission San Diego Military. We're at the SDMAC Achievement Awards here at MCRD's the Bayview Club. I think one of the things that I've always been impressed with about what you have to do as a Navy mayor, you're very visible. You're out there talking to community groups that may not have ever met an admiral before, and there are a lot of folks in that area. You folks have always been disarming, very appreciative of the work that civilians can do to support your effort on that. How's San Diego in terms of supporting what you're doing, in your mind?
I've been stationed East Coast, West Coast, overseas, and in general, the Navy garners a lot of support from all the communities. I will say that, and this is not just because I'm here,
right.
But because I sincerely believe that San Diego is a community that is nearly 100% behind the U.S. Navy, our mission, our presence, what we're able to collaborate on with the community. There's just like no friction, none at all, and it is really appreciated. And from my point of view, part of my job is to make sure that we continue to have no friction. So I want to make as many friends as possible. I want to have as many conversations with as many entities who are close to the Navy and the community, even those that are far from the Navy and the community, so that we all understand each other, and then we're able to continue this vital mission for national security.
Well, one of the things I've been impressed with, Admiral, I worked for the Union Tribune for many, many years. I was according to my journalism friends, I was on the dark side. I was on the marketing side. I wasn't on the reporting side. But one of the things I loved about what SDMAC did with our military reporters, we're always, and of course, folks like you in the Navy mayor position, were always willing to talk to us and trying to do as much as you can to disclose. Some things you can't disclose and all that business. Talk about how important it is to have a good relationship with the media.
Well, I think media is important, but in general, just having good transparency with the community. The media is one outlet that we can communicate with the broader community and city and the people that live here. And so we like to cultivate those relationships and make sure that, when we have messages that we want to communicate, that we have, good partners that are willing to listen, understand, and then help us communicate further.
Right. Talk a little bit about San Diego is a hotbed for great innovation. Of course, we all know that with the biotech and cyber and so forth. How does that tie into what you folks do or what you do as a Navy mayor?
Well, I'll talk about San Diego, but I would just say also in Southwest, throughout California and all our installations, we are in this part of the country in the hotbed of innovation and technology. And again, going back to my analogy of the Carl Vinson Strike Group, we have capabilities here in San Diego, like the Navwar Old Town Complex, which has a lot of technical capability that they provide to those fleet sailors and to those ships that are out over the horizon. But Vinson Strike Group was taking fire from Houthis, out in the Fifth Fleet, and they were returning fire successfully. That success has been enabled by the technical community here in San Diego, out in China Lake, all these different locations that are supporting these fleet sailors here on the waterfront, but again, also deployed across the world.
Well, Admiral Richard Jarrett, the Navy Mayor, Commanding Officer of Navy Region 7, thank you so much for coming on our military San Diego show. I know this isn't going to be the last time you're going to come on. If this is your first podcast, you are an absolute pro. I'll tell you that right now. We're very proud of the fact we got a pretty big reach, and if it's going to help what you do and support the sailors and your team and all that business, we're all for that. I really appreciate you giving up some of your time to chat.
Hey, Drew, I really appreciate you. Thanks.
Okay, absolutely. We're chatting with Admiral Rich Jarrett. He is the Commanding Officer of Navy Region Southwest. I'm Drew Schlosberg. Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Mission San Diego Military, a special edition. Here we are at the San Diego Military Advisory Council's 18th Annual Achievement Awards at MCRD's Bayview Club. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Mission San Diego Military, presented by American Military University, an educational leader for active duty military, veterans, and their families. Mission San Diego Military is produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council in partnership with Cloudcast Media, the national leader in local podcasting. We're sure you learned quite a bit about why San Diego is America's finest military city. Please like, subscribe, and share the show.
Cloudcast Media.